Spin-offs. If a game gets popular enough to get any form of sequels, there is usually a spin-off slapped in between the releases of them. Even in a series that you'd least expect, there are sometimes multiple spin-offs lurking about. Seriously, look a bit closer. There you go. Capcom doesn't want you remembering that one. Spin-offs are important because they allow the developers to experiment with different game mechanics and just truly go crazy with ideas. There isn't much risk because the budget is usually lower than the mainline series, and sometimes fans of that series tend to just ignore them. It's a shame because sometimes these games can be better than some of the games in the mainline series they're spinning off from. Metal Gear Rising. Now, if you've been watching my content for a while, you already know that Ratchet and Clank is a series I absolutely adore. I grew up playing them all the time as a kid on my PlayStation 2, especially Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal. Wait, no, sorry, Ratchet and Clank 3. It was censored in Europe. Such an incredible game that I can easily just pick up and play whenever. But if I was to look at it from a critical view and take my nostalgia glasses off, it has quite a few issues. The game started to stem away from a huge part of Ratchet and Clank, the platforming. It focused so much more on the combat, and while that isn't a bad thing because it's absolutely fun as fuck, I mean, you can turn fellas into ducks, do I even need to say anything else? The combat unfortunately wasn't entirely fleshed out like you would expect. It still plays like a platforming game with gunplay, if you get what I mean, so a lot of the combat sections kinda fall short. Now, after the release of Up Your Arsenal, Insomniac looked back on the game and thought, yeah, that was cool, people liked it, but we're going down this path of making shit way too combat focused. That isn't what Ratchet and Clank is, so we can't be doing this. What should we do, Jeremy, professional programmer at Insomniac Games? Fucking, let's make a spin-off. Ratchet fucking Deadlocked. Oh, for fuck's sake, why was this one censored? This game goes hard. I'm not even joking. From the gameplay to the music to even the fucking story, like, everything about this game is so fucking good. Let's talk about it. Despite it being a spin-off, Deadlocked begins basically right after where the third game left off. Ratchet is warned about a shady group that kidnaps heroes in the galaxy and forces them to compete with each other in a game show called Dread Zone. Of course, Ratchet gets captured, and you learn quickly this shit isn't a joke. These heroes gotta compete to the death. You're actually shown in the tutorial cutscene that if you disobey any rules or even just get a bit boring for the viewers, a collar around Ratchet's neck will detonate, literally decapitating him. This was rated 3+ in the UK, by the way. Right off the bat, you can definitely tell Deadlocked is going for a much darker tone, which was a huge risk that definitely paid off in my opinion. The game being a spin-off allowed them to take this risk. Even Ratchet's armor is going for a much edgier style, and honestly, it's my favorite armor used in the entire franchise. This shit is so cool, even if it is a bit uncomfortable for Ratchet.
I can barely breathe and my tail feels like it's shoved right up my—
Oh, and listen to the hub music. Now, if that doesn't scream impending doom, I don't know what does. Now, if you remember earlier, I said that Ratchet and Clank 3 started heading down the action gameplay route, neglecting the platforming side of the series. Well, Deadlocked fully embraced that style of gameplay and refined it to perfection. The game instantly sets you into lock strafe, so you're constantly aiming and strafing whenever you have weapons equipped. And guess what, bitch? This is a third-person shooter where you won't be cowering behind cover like a massive pussy. You're gonna be making use of that strafing, flipping about like a madman shooting your weapons. The weapon roster isn't as big in Deadlocked compared to the other games, but that isn't entirely a bad thing. Each one of them is extremely useful to use. Even the starting pistols, the dual Vipers, can carry you through the entire game. I could talk about most of these weapons highly for how cool they are, except for the Hollow Shield. This shit sucks ass. Oh yeah, and the ultimate weapon in the game is literally a fucking orbital strike gun. Do I even need to say more? Like, come on, this is cool as shit. You will be utilizing these weapons in arenas similar to the style of them in Ratchet and Clank 3. Except, again, they are way more fleshed out this time. They could completely change from just killing waves of enemies to a massive platforming challenge that you have to do without Clank this time. He's sat down on a computer in the hub playing fucking League of Legends or some shit while Ratchet is out here busting his ass. The classic planet hopping exploration is still in the game, and each of these planets you go to have similar gimmicks to the missions in the arena, except way bigger and quite frankly kind of fucked up. See, a lot of these planets were taken, and even deliberately sabotaged by Dreadzone for the entertainment of the viewers. For example, planet Stygia, a planet that struggled with constant meteor storms, but the people there made a defense shield to stop these meteors from causing any damage or harm. Well, this silly shark man Gleeman Vox thought it'd be funny to disable them, and have you go there to set them back up again while all of his fucking forces are trying to murder you. This is the type of entertainment you only get on fucking CBeebies. In between all of these challenges, you get some awesome cutscenes, which are like clips from the Dreadzone show of commentary from the two hosts, Dallas and Juanita, absolutely slandering Ratchet, sometimes in extreme ways.
After making his fortune selling cigarettes to children, Ratchet went on to pilot a tanker ship for Zexon.
A week later, Ratchet got drunk and crashed his tanker into the ocean world of Equados. Who can forget these graphic images of baby seals smothered in radioactive waste? Little Coco.
Who the fuck would believe this shit?
How could you?
There are also just normal cutscenes of the villains talking shit. I mean, that's just a given, isn't it? The further through the game you get, the more of a fan base Ratchet begins to get, and you get to see cutscenes of them testing out Ratchet merchandise on kids. I've got no idea why they're marketing these bloodthirsty killers to kids, but hey, it's Dreadzone.
Go, Reactor, slap me some skin!
And there's even a scene where the main villain, Gleeman Vox, offers him so many merchandise deals right after he dethrones Ace Hardlight, the previous star of Dreadzone. Another hero who was corrupted by all of the commercialism and fame. I wasn't joking when I said this shit was dark.
Ratchet! Don't let Vox do to you what he did to me. You're the hero now.
It isn't just the story that goes for a darker tone though. The music is a complete contrast to the music from the original games. In the original Ratchet and Clank, the music was more funky, upbeat, and very phallic. Like a penis. Now, hear me out, hear me out. Ratchet Deadlocked goes for this much heavier and hairier, sweatier tone, dangling so much lower. Like a ball sack. I am so sorry for that analogy. It's a joke my friend and I made about the Ratchet Deadlocked soundtrack being the polar opposite of penis music, which is funky. Listen, I'm just gonna stop talking and let you listen to this incredible soundtrack. Oh, by the way, the game has co-op. I would show it, but I got no mates. To make up for that fact though, Deadlock gives you these two robot companions who are actually very useful. They have different utilities for certain situations that you have to use, and I just think they're very stupendous. You can even spruce them up with some pretty cool customization options. These are my friends now, I don't need any of you.
Check out my robots!
Now, I don't want to spoil the game too much, even though it's almost 2 decades old. But the game ends with this incredible joke of Captain Quark, the biggest bumbling buffoon in the entire franchise, who's always thought he's the biggest superhero in the galaxy, saying this.
Ratchet, Clank, it's me, Captain Quark. There's a nasty rumor going around about heroes being kidnapped, but don't worry, it's baloney. I mean, come on, nobody came to capture me, right? Just imagine making a show about galactic heroes without Captain Quark.
It's just so perfect. Well, there you have it. Ratchet Deadlocked. Well, the Ratchet Gladiator from where I'm from. Probably my favorite spin-off ever made. If you're interested in playing the game now, I'm sorry to say, but you're kinda shit out of luck. Unless you own these two consoles. Although I wouldn't recommend playing it on the PlayStation 3, because, well, It's a shame that we don't see many developers taking risks anymore with spin-offs. Like I said at the start of the video, sometimes these spin-offs can be better than the mainline series they're based off. I'm not saying that about Deadlocked. I still prefer the original games over this, but my god, this game is fucking incredible. It would be awesome if Insomniac tried doing something like this with Ratchet and Clank again on the PlayStation 5, expanding on the mechanics from Rift Apart. That won't happen though, let's be real here. Just remaster Deadlocked and put it on PC and PS5 already.